There's a good fucking intro. Yeah, we'll go with that one.
Fake carrots. Fake fruit. Fake. Fake grapefruits. Fake. Liar! You liar!
Everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Apparently, you're not supposed to mix alcohol and pain medication because it has a cocktail effect. I tell you what, we're going to talk about shit hitting the fan. This is what we're going to talk about. We've got a lot of it on the board. It's kind of a shit show. Uman could tell you. Jolene could tell you. Lily could tell you. Chris could tell you. John could tell you. Bonnie could tell you. Heidi could tell you. Everyone could tell you. Get this. Even though I'm considered poor because of the level of income I have a tremendous credit rating because I'm not in debt because I don't own anything and I don't make any money. But get this. Capital One, you know, the people who say what's in your wallet, they sent me an offer that really looks really good. So good that you can't refuse it. Look at that. $0 annual fee, zero fraud liability, you know. So what is this offer? A credit card at 30.49%. There used to be a fucking law against screwing people this bad. This is practically rape, as if I need their fucking credit card. All right, folks, welcome to the show. Here we go. We now have more man on the street reporters for the Prepared Mind Satire Network. And in this case, it would be Chin Music. He's out there in glorious, glamorous southern Texas. One second. Okay. He's out there in glorious, glamorous southern Texas. Now, what did he discover? Migrant centers. Migrant check-in centers, migrant get your free welfare centers. He took a bunch of pictures for us and video. And I want to thank you, Chin Music, for doing that. But he said, hey, I told him nice pictures, nice footage. He said a cop threatened to arrest him for taking pics and video of a public place where illegal immigrants were allowed to stand in line. Like they were buying, to me, it looked like they were in line to buy groceries or get into Disneyland or something else. So the cop told Chin Music he had to leave. He told him, because Chin Music is, he plays a little rough. He says he was on public property, and since he paid taxes, he had more right to be there than the fucking migrants. I then asked him, is what he said, when he arrests me, what will he be charged with? He walked away. Chin Music, you're a brave motherfucker. I tell you what. God bless you, man. That's the world we live in, folks. It is a clown world. Clown world. Hence, the Tim, the Mr. T Satirical News Network clown startups. It's a clown world, folks. And here we are. It is not going to get better. It is going to get worse. It is the Prepared Mind channel, folks, where we document, catalog, discuss, and make also predictions about what is coming in our futures. And shit is coming. Now, get this, right? The whole world sucks up to Voldemort Zelensky in Ukraine. We're supposed to kiss his ass, tell him we feel bad about the situation, try and help him by sending billions of dollars to him, while his government, the bureaucracy, steals the money, and is so bad that even Zelensky has to say, hey, you've been embezzling money, while Zelensky goes on vacation in posh vacation suites. Anyways, Ukraine has now decided that they're going to sue Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary over their ban of, well, agricultural products. That's right, folks. In the European Union, the organization, Germany, France, and Spain, and I'm sure many other little shitball countries, they're criticizing Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary. Is this a conspiracy against the efforts of NATO and the European Union and Washington, D.C.? Is this really a grain controversy, or is this more of a conspiracy? I think it's probably more like a conspiracy because, you know, I like conspiracy theories. What's the conspiracy? That countries like, well, entire European Union, the whole world is being held hostage to inflated Ukrainian grain prices. I'm sure everyone is being charged bigger, better, higher than market value because, you know, you have to support Zelensky. Now, Poland, especially Poland, folks, has been extremely critical of Russia and extremely bellicose in their attacks of Russia and how they're going to go in there and support Ukraine and kick ass and everything else. Well, apparently they don't want to pay exorbitant prices for their grains. This is how bad they fucked it up, folks. They're fighting over who's going to support Ukraine the most, and then they're fighting over who's going to buy the least of their overpriced shit. Right? It's who can kiss his ass and support him the most while trying to ignore all of the corruption, theft, greed, bribery, and embezzlement as possible. Don't forget, the big guy gets his 10%. The entire system over in Europe, folks. Now, I understand China is having their financial, banking, economic issues. I understand Russia's doing quite well these days with all of the high oil prices. That's right. Oil prices in the $90 a barrel, up about 50% from last year. They're doing quite well. Doing quite well there. All this is going on. And Europe and Washington, D.C. think they're going to crush Russia. So we've got some issues there. A lot of infighting in Europe. Well, that's on the macro level. Then we have the micro level, the itty bitty tiny people. And I'm not talking about little people. You know who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about them. Just on the everyday little guy level. So in Ukraine, they have mercenaries fighting on their side. Did you know that? Just like Russia has mercenary fighters called the Wagner Group, there are mercenaries fighting for Ukraine. And 2 British mercs have been allegedly killed by other mercenaries. So I'm looking at this going, oh, okay, so it's now been released. It's being reported that mercenaries are killing each other on the Ukraine side of the line. They're killing their own, folks. I have a clue as to why. Do you? Do you? I think with a little bit of experienced insight, a little bit of practiced logic, you might understand this. In the military, when a unit, say a platoon or even a company-sized unit, if they have a problem with their officers, sometimes those officers and even sometimes sergeants end up on the wrong side of a grenade accident because they're causing too many people to get killed. They're endangering too many people. They continue to put their people in harm's way when it's not necessary. Typically, that's when you have friendly fire accidents. So my guess, based on experience, is this is what's going on. On the Ukraine side of the line, the mercenary groups are not happy with their leadership, with their missions, and with their decisions. Consequently, and this is just a guess, consequently, 2 British mercenary volunteers have been killed by their own people. Now, if I know personalities and I know the military, I happen to know that some people think they know better than everyone else. In other words, they're a bunch of snobby, know-it-all fucks. Pardon my directness. And it's costing people lives. And we look at the entire military effort of the Ukraine side, and they just keep throwing their people into a fucking meat grinder. How much longer until we see wider... Sorry, I needed to increase my alcohol drip. How much longer until we see wider forms of this? Well, we're seeing a lot of desertion. No, let me start at the top. People don't want to enlist. And for those that enlist, they desert. And now for those who have enlisted and can't desert, are they killing those who are making bad decisions? I think we're that close to a complete walk-off on the front lines, a capitulation. I guess we're going to find out, folks. We're going to find out. The entire West, meaning Europe, Western Europe, the United States, Canada, they're all having a crisis of leadership. So I just covered the micro level with you guys. And then we've got the macro level up top. We discussed Poland, Hungary, and others saying, we're not buying your overpriced shit. And then we have this, folks. This truly is a conspiracy theory from Canada. Warning, warning, warning. Conspiracy theory. And who's responsible for this conspiracy theory? None other than Canada's Prime Minister, Justin Little Castro Pee-wee Trudeau. And this is what he says. True dumb says there's credible information that the country of India, meaning Modi, who is the prime minister president, that Modi is behind the assassination of a Sikh separatist in Canada. Number one, India's president, premier, vice president, whatever, Modi, the leader of India, the chief executive, embarrassed Trudeau, stranded him in an airport, spoke down to him, belittled him, berated him, made fun of him, and basically bitch slapped him, folks, while in India. And little Castro, little Pee-wee Trudeau, is embarrassed. He should be red-faced and red-assed over this spanking he got. So he gets all the way back to Canada and wants to accuse India of assassinating a Sikh separatist. Now, the Sikhs are a religious sect, and they hail from India. They are not Hindi, and they are not Muslim. They're Sikh. You can typically meet them at well, they work. They always have. Everyone I've met always is working. They're nice people, folks. They got the really big, cool kind of, like a turban thing. They're the ones who have the more traditional turban. When we think of good wide turban and no jewel in it, of course, but a big old wide turban, they got good turbans. Anyways, if this guy is, they're not fond of India. They're not fond of, definitely, they are more enemies with the Muslims. But they're kind of a people without a country. And he's a separatist living in Canada. It sounds like he's separated just fine. So why would India want to bother with him and assassinate him? Why would India fly all the way to Canada to assassinate a relatively insignificant percentage of the population? Insignificant, John. Well, how many Sikh are there? I don't know. Is there 1 million of them? Is there 10 million? Is there 50 million Sikh who live in India? Well, I'll tell you what, folks, India has 1.4 billion people. So whatever the Sikh population is, they're nobody. Nobody. They're not going to make any changes in India, folks. India is way too populated for that to happen. Anyways, conspiracy theory, shattering of Western power. And then we have this. Oh, by the way, I apologize. Absolutely apologize. Get your questions down below. You guys are going to get the second half of the show in another 15 minutes. I'll turn the question, thought, direction of the show over to you guys. I enjoy that. It's not a risk. It's not even a challenge. Well, your questions are challenging, but I think it's a good way to go with the show. Get your questions in now. And we'll do the inner circle when you guys come in. So back to this. What's going on in the West? Right? As the West crumbles and fails, hey, the East is not in great shape, by the way. I am not anti-American. I'm pro-American. I'm an anti-corporatocracy, the World Economic Forum globalist shit. Globalism is going to fail. It cannot live. It cannot win. Now, Elon Musk decided to weigh in and bring his philosophy to the table, his concepts and ideas. He says, hey, history is written by the winners. And I thought, geez, Elon Musk, you really went out on a limb to say that. But he had this to say. He had a caveat on there. He said, but not if your enemies are still alive and have a lot of time on their hands to edit Wikipedia. So I'm going to start by saying, that's interesting, Mr. Elon Musk. In other words, he thinks we're winning, but that our enemies are alive and they're in control of Wikipedia. Number one, I do not go to Wikipedia. I even after seeing this article, I tried clicking on Wikipedia and the link wouldn't work. Wikipedia is failing, folks. It's crap. But what he's saying basically is if your enemy, the left-wing globalist scumbags, if they control the mainstream media, social media, and big tech, then they're writing history as it unfolds in their favor. So what is the solution here to this modern truth exposed by Elon Musk? As we defeat these idiots intellectually and in all fields of intellectual battle, right? We're not killing them. They're alive, because this isn't a war with blood and guts. It's a war over mentality and mankind. So I say the left actually does need to be eradicated. Their concepts, their lies, their gaslighting, their bullshit, their agenda, their theories need to be destroyed 100%. And their political philosophies also need to be destroyed, eradicated, and made illegal. It used to be the communists hid, that they were afraid of being exposed for being scumbag communists. Well, they're not afraid anymore. They're trying to destroy the USA. So we need to fight back, folks, 100%. They're losing. They know it, but they're not quitting, and they're going to continue to write in the annals of social media. How appropriate a term is that, huh? Crazy stuff, folks. But it is so bad out there, and I wanted to bring this to your attention. It's so bad out there, folks, that the New York Times actually managed to tell the truth in a surprising, nay, a shocking journalistic piece. They discovered at the New York Times, and they reported that the strike in Konstantinovka, these eastern cities, if there's one thing I don't like about them is their long consonant-filled names, which do not sit well on an English tongue. Konstantinovka. a market, a bazaar, a commercial space was bombed. It was missile attacked, I should say. But guess what? It was not a Russian missile. It wasn't a Russian attack. It was a Ukrainian air defense mistake. Yeah, you bet it's a fucking mistake. Or was it? Once again, put on your tinfoil hats, guys. I'm going to have another drink of this medicated beverage. And trust me, when you need to take Chanca Piedra and alcohol, it has one hell of an effect. And I think Uman and Nikki know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I think that, as usual, Ukraine has managed to bomb either itself or its allies and blame someone else, namely Putin, right? Putin is as bad to Ukraine and Europe as Trump is to Democrats and Rhino Republicans. Remember, Ukraine has already bombed Romania, Poland, and now themselves. They're as bad as Nigel on the Twit of the Year contest on Monty Python's Flying Circus. And there is some obscure reference for you, my friends. So is it surprising that Ukraine missile attacked itself? Or was it intentional? And it's a conspiracy theory to try and draw the world into a more sympathetic and even more sympathetic stance, where we're even more willing as nations to give money to this short, tyrannical little putz. Even Napoleon is spinning in his grave going, dude, you're short and small. Oh, my goodness. I'm probably going to be a midget in my next life, folks. I'm sure God and his angels are going to be like, John, you made fun of those little people just one too many times. You're going to have to pay the price. Or maybe I was a midget in a former life, and they're like, dude, you suffered enough. We're going to make you a tall mofo in the next one. Anyways, apparently it's not a Russian attack. And the New York Times revealed that. Is this that the world and even the left-wing media has bullshit war fatigue? Or did someone actually commit the unforgivable sin of real journalism? Or was the mainstream media they just made an innocent mistake and reported a story accurately when they should have actually lied? Oh, man, what a fucking riot. I hope you're prepared, folks. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. I really hope. I got to get here on the right damn page. Here we are, over here with Mr. Uman. You got Oliver Uman in the flesh in the background, keeping an eye on stuff. Let us continue, folks, with just the SHTF of the world. I don't know if it's 2 for Tuesday. I don't know if it's Taco Tuesday. I don't know if it's too stupid for Tuesday. I don't know what to call today, but on the calendar, it is a Tuesday. Get this. Sidney Powell, released the Kraken, Sidney Powell, who actually never released anything, much less a fucking Kraken, on the media, the left-wing people, the voter fraud, and everything else. Well, she's being charged by the district attorney, fat-ass Fannie Willis, being charged by her with, fraud and election interference and everything else. Well, now Sidney Powell, who has her own attorney, is alleging that the district attorney, fat-ass Willis, has committed violations by withholding key evidence. Fat-ass Fannie, folks, is lying, cheating, and stealing the liberties of free Americans. And they're pushing for a Nazified system of justice. No surprise there. No giant revelation there. We know, folks. But what's important to understand here for you and me as little people, we're just little people, not midgets. were little people. If they can do this to Sidney Powell, powerful attorney, who's argued before the United States Supreme Court, if I remember my history correct, very famous conservative attorney, and everyone else who's being charged, including the president himself, is being charged with bullshit charges, having key evidence which would exonerate them withheld through the discovery process, then what chance do you and I stand in a courtroom? Now, earlier I applauded Chin Music for getting some great footage and pictures of the illegals sticking their hands out and Joe Biden's government putting a bunch of money in that hand. He was willing to confront the police officer who confronted him. He was willing to ask questions of the police officer who threatened him with arrest. You get essentially one chance. Use it well. In this case, Chin Music was able to outwit the 92 IQ police officer by asking him, "What are you going to charge me with if you arrest me?" While I applaud and enjoy exactly what Chin Music did, I also want to caution people to be very careful. Some police are more reasonable than others. Some police might be having a really, really bad day, and they're looking for an excuse to have a beatdown. I'm going to use this example to describe how a seemingly insignificant conflict can result in very bad things happening. So, at a Patriots football game at Gillette Stadium, do they even have commercials anymore for "It's as good as a man can get"? You know, "Men, you suck, buy our razors." One of the first examples of woke advertising to fucking slam themselves in the face. Anyways, Gillette Stadium. There was a fan there, a Patriots fan, a 53-year-old white guy, Patriots fan, got into an argument with a Dolphins fan. So the Dolphins fan punched him in the face and killed him. This old white guy, 53-year-old. When I read that, I thought, well, fuck, I'm 53. That's not cool. So, the wife was interviewed and very upset, said that, well, the football game should be a family-friendly event. So I thought, family-friendly? Were there drag queens and child sex groomers there and Democrats who were minor attracted persons? That's family-friendly. Football is a materialistic, capitalist, colonial ground acquisition game. Will the death of this man be as a result of violence, or will it be listed as a cerveza variant death? And we need to get more people to go out and get their sheep vitamins. And a final question on this incident is, why won't the police and the National Football League release the footage showing the fight, who was engaged in it, and over what? My guess is that and I don't know, folks, but I'm going to guess the Dolphins were getting their ass kicked. And the Dolphin fan didn't like the taunting he was getting from the out-of-control 53-year-old Patriot football fanatic. And it started some shit. Okay. And before I go over, folks, and we have a lot of shit to talk about. Before I switch over to the inner circle and let you guys take control of the questions, and I'll handle the answers, of course, I want to share this with you. Representative Matt Gaetz, who's a Republican from the great state of the Florida Republic, he has drafted the subpoena to demand that Hunter Biden and his records and deposition show up in the House of Representatives. And he's taken this draft, which is a copy of the subpoena. He's taken it to McCarthy. Kevin do-nothing bullshit artist McCarthy. Kevin liar McCarthy. Kevin get your own people thrown out of office McCarthy. Matt Gaetz has taken it to McCarthy to sign it. And this has everything to do with the impeachment inquiry, which we have heard not a fucking thing over since he said he would do something about it. So Matt Gaetz says this, quote, millions of Americans are wondering if you're serious. What I have to say is I don't think he's serious. I think he's lying. I think he's stalling. I think he's bullshitting. I think he's buffaloing. I think Kevin McCarthy is trying to worm, weasel, squirm, and slither out of being held accountable. I say call his bullshit bluff. I say call him out to the carpet. I say get rid of his ass, and the faster, the better. Kevin McCarthy is no American patriot. He's no statesman. He is a slimy, deep state, Washington, D.C. weasel, like most of them and their bureaucrat buddies are. It's that kind of world, folks. It's that kind of world. Let's go inner circle with you right now. All right, we got Mr. Ooman. He's got all the questions lined up. We've got one hell of a lineup coming for you. And chin music. What are you going to charge me with when you arrest me? That's a great fucking question. I don't know. Yeah, how could you have answered that better without getting arrested? What bullshit plastic banana crap are you going to charge me with? What kind of fabricated horse shit are you going to sling at the judge and tell him to choke on? Yeah. Anyways, Chin Music says, John, they were there in line to get processed. The school buses in the video then take them to the airport. Sounds like quite an efficient program. So the illegals come across the border and they probably get picked up by La Migra. But rather than sending them across the border back into Mexico, they take them to the processing centers, probably where their names are written down, whatever fake fucking name they want to use, where they're given some form of identification, whether it's a bullshit social security number, an identification card saying, I'm here for free shit. And then they're probably given, a plane ticket and a life here of welfare. And they're probably told, thank the president. He's a Democrat. Never forget that. The reason you're here and getting free shit that Americans are paying for with their taxes and their inflation. You better remember that the Democrats let you in. And go vote. Vote often. Vote early. Vote many times. And then they get on a plane and they're sent somewhere else in the country. What I do enjoy about this is that through this process, the idiot federal government is overwhelming their own cities. Now, what I find fascinating is that in a Democrat city or a Democrat region, they're already spending their money and giving it away as fast as they can and even faster than they can collect it. And they're broke. So a Democrat city, a Democrat county, a Democrat region is going to collapse far sooner than an area of the country that is Republican or Libertarian, if you will, and has a form or a mentality of preparedness, rugged individualism, and savings. That's what preppers do. That's what you do. You save. You save food. You make sure you have the ability to have water. You have the proper clothing. You're saving your own skin, right? Shelter, medicine. Once again, you're saving wealth by putting into things that are useful. And of course, self-defense, which is going to become something very important. Something very important. I sure hope they throw McCarthy out. I really do. I would like to see that happen for the very purpose so that I can tell everyone I was right. I don't want to tell everyone I'm right all the time. That doesn't thrill me. But in this case, it would fucking thrill me to see his dumbass thrown out of office. Can't stand him. He's a fucking greaseback, slimy little turd. I guess maybe if I get a check for a couple $1 million from him, I would be happy with him too. All right, folks. And hold your breath now. Go ahead and start holding your breath to see if it happens. Let's do this. Let's do another inner circle question. It's Charles Gentry stepping in again. And he says, hey, Mr. Graham's local office knows me by sight and name and generally have the city police on the phone by time I get to the desk. It sounds like you're from the Carolinas, Mr. Gentry. And he says, I call the sheriff and let them argue while I watch the pissing contest. I tell you what, I actually take great humor in that and find that very good, that you found a way to have, well, police and the sheriffs learn to get along. Rodney King style. Can't we all just get along? So I'm glad that you get to go down to Senator Lindsey Graham's office, lighten the loafers, good buddies with the likes of Pete Buttgag. No, what was he called? Was Bootylicious? Booty Gig? What the fuck what did the president call Pete Booty Pete? Help me out, man. I know you know. I see you laughing there. Pete Buttigieg, who is an avowed, openly throw it in your face homosexual who chest feeds a child he adopted. I find that just disgusting. It's just disgusting. Anyways, Charles, enjoy your pissing contest at the office. But while we're on something that's rather disgusting, something that makes you go, what the hell? Okay, computer, don't do it to me. There we go. Now, I'm going to read you a headline, but it is not what I expected. The real story was not what I expected. And it probably won't be what you expected. But in a Midwest state, a male teacher was told that it was his job to supervise a nude minor schoolgirl in a locker room. A male teacher was told that he needed to supervise a nude girl nude minor girl, high school girl, in a locker room. At first I thought, oh, great, here we go again, right? Some perverted freak wants to look at girls dressing. No, there's more to the story, folks. Wait, who did that? Who did there's more to and oh, it was Paul Harvey. And now for the rest of the story. Guy made a career out of that fucking line. What is it with these guys making a career out of these one-liners like Chance Favors the Prepared Mind, huh? Sheesh. Anyways, the headline got my attention, but the facts of the case actually disgusted me. The teacher, the male teacher, was forced against his Christian objections to supervise a girl who was in a boys' locker room. He told him, this is not my job. I don't want to do this. I'm a male. That is a female. And the school insisted. Now, finally, they've let up on this guy, but the story's now out in the public. Well, this girl wants to be a boy. This girl is taking trans drugs. And all of what is going on is against state law. The state prohibits the medication, alteration, transformation, mutilation of minors in this trans system. Folks, you and I have done a great job. We are battling these freaks out here, and we need to keep doing it. We need to support our local politicians. We need to go after local schools, school boards, principals, etc., who defy state law, morality, and just common fucking decency. I'm glad this guy made a stink. And I'm sure the girl is not some total hottie with a naughty body that everyone would want to see. All right? That's what you're supposed to think is, well, who wouldn't want to supervise a girl? Well, anyone with a handful of morality. They, I don't need to be here. And what about the boys in this locker room? How about their discomfort? How about their embarrassment? And I know a lot of us probably don't think about that. We're always thinking about the fruitcakes causing trouble. But what about the other young men and young women who are put in very uncomfortable positions? Like our good buddy, the swimmer. What is his fucking name, Mr. Uman? The swimming college trans jackass. Everyone knows who I'm talking about. He's just kicked the hell out of every woman, right? Broken all their records, but he's a girl. What's his? I'm going to bring you on live, Mr. Uman. You're coming on. There he is. It's the one. It's the only. It's the Uman prepared show.
Put me on the spot. God, I don't remember.
Anyways, this fucking cretin, we're supposed to believe that she is
Leah Thomas person. Or Chin is saying Leah Thomas.
It's Leah Thomas, yes. Leah Thomas is a good person. Apparently, Leah Thomas wags her dick and swings it around the locker room while in front of other women. That sounds like something that a jackass boy would do.
Yep.
Not an intelligent, mature person who is trying to set a good example for other trans salad fucks. Anyways, Mr. Uman, I got you live here. What's going on, buddy?
Same old, same old. Just been a rough week. This weather's depressing, going from cold to warm and rainy and gloomy and getting darker every morning. And
it sounds like you live up north, man. You live up north.
I wish I didn't.
Down here in Mississippi, the sun only sets for like an hour a day. It's fucking outstanding.
Yeah, but you got all that humidity. I'd rather be dealing with that than the cold coming on.
Humidity? What humidity? The feeling that you just took a shower, even though you didn't take a shower?
Yeah, right before you walk out the door and by the time you get into the car, right?
Well, let's see. You walk out the door, you get in the truck, you turn it on, you hit the air conditioning button, and the air is dry in like 2 or 3 minutes. Up north, you tread across the snow, try not to slip and break your fucking neck in the ice. You get in your car, you turn it on, and within a couple of minutes, the heater's keeping you warm.
Yeah.
But I guarantee that there's no bikinis up in Michigan or Chicago or.
No, there are not.
Yeah, there it is.
And fewer that you actually want to see.
And there's actually a couple down here. Yeah, there's no Leah Thomases. The area I'm in does not allow fruitcakes with bulges to walk around in bikinis.
Nice. Yeah, I was making the comment in the chat when you were saying it's probably not the girls you want to see anyway. I said, yeah, just imagine all that unshavenness.
Whew.
That'll put it in perspective for you really quick.
No, not a good thing, man. Not now. My appetite for Taco Tuesday is ruined. I tell you, when you're in an incredible amount of pain, and then you have some alcohol, sometimes it has a funny effect. Yeah. Anyways, this we're getting more and more backlash against this trans thing. I love it. I'm glad. We're getting more and more rejection of Washington and their stupid policies. I think for being a bunch of little people. I mean, once again, we're not midgets because that's a pejorative term, even though I was passing around jokes from the little comedian. There's a midget comedian who calls himself a midget, I believe.
Well, he could call himself a midget, but you can't call him a midget.
Oh, I will. He's a midget. What's he going to do? Bite my kneecap? Anyways, he's a funny little fucker, and he knows it, and he capitalizes on it. Anyways, even though we're just a small percentage of the country, I think we're making a big difference. And I think a lot of the country supports the fact that you and I and people like Charles Gentry and Chin Music are out there making I don't know if we're making headlines, but we're certainly making waves. And
well, I think it's finally to the point where people are getting loud enough that they can't ignore it. Everybody was keeping their heads down, and then until it affects them, and it's affecting more and more of them, now they're speaking up and they're being loud enough about it that it can't be ignored.
Right. Another thing that I think is happening is as we're all getting hit in the pocketbook, we're seeing a downturn in the economy. That has an effect on people where they're like, hey, I didn't mind putting up with some of this shit when things were really good, but hey, times are tough. And I'm not going to put up with this shit anymore. I want it fixed. Kind of like getting a fucking platinum credit card offer at 30+%. I was like, okay, what are they going to do? Offer me 10 or 12? And I was like, 30 fucking %.
Yeah. And whatever happened to those usury laws?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, man, whatever did happen to them, where the fuck did those go? 30 fucking %.
Yeah, and what did the threshold change to before it's considered usury?
Yeah, now I don't even know. I don't even know, man.
Well, I guarantee you never get out of debt that way.
I agree. I tell you, man, it's hit the fan. It's not going to get better before it gets worse. Being a prepper seems like a pretty smart thing. Conspiracy theories are no longer scaring people to discuss. Aha! I remembered something. Yeah, there's more and more people, I think, saying, you know what? There's not so much wrong with these conspiracy theories because so much evidence is now out there that they make more fucking sense than what the media and government says.
Yep. And so many of them have proven themselves to be true.
Yes, indeed. I mean, I love the one meme, and it goes around in circles, and I get hit with it probably in the head once a week. Is the one where it says, "Yeah, if you want to know what's going on, go ask your friend, the conspiracy theorist. They're actually the ones with the answers."
Yeah, right.
Something like that. Something along those lines. Anyways, have we got more questions from El Audienzo?
Yes, we do. We actually got, speaking of conspiracy theories, we got one from Orlando here.
Not Orlando. Let's do it, man. It is Mr. Orlando. He's got a statement question. The statement question, folks, is one of the trickiest forms of interrogation known to man. Are you making a statement? You're asking a fucking question. The more I drink, the funnier I get. All right. He says, I'm not sure how true this is, but I hear the pilot who ejected from the F-35 jet.
F-35, yeah.
The F-35 fighter jet did so because he refused orders and refused to be part of a false flag in North Carolina. Thoughts?
It sounds like a lot of QAnon nonsense kind of stuff to me.
Well, I tell you what, I want people to ask questions like this. I find the theory to be ridiculous on its face, but I think it's something we need to think about and consider. I think I've got a reason here, which actually borders on logic, because of the illogical answers we get out of the government. How do you lose a fucking jet? Reputedly worth $80 million with radar systems, satellite systems, tracking systems, transponders, and 100 billion people crawling around on the face of the earth. How do you lose a fucking jet?
And you can't tell me it didn't make a nice big boom when it went down either, that they couldn't get some kind of fires or something on satellite to see where that thing went to.
A boom. How about this? A big fucking mushroom cloud from the smoke from the fuel going everywhere. How about Richter scale sonic booms, or not sonic boom, but rather ground movement detectors, right? When something hits, they measure the fucking vibrations in the ground. And if you have 1, 2, 3 different stations, they can triangulate it and find it. So
yeah,
when you ask, what?
I was just going to say, Mikey G added in here and said that they did finally find it in South Carolina, and he says that all F-35s are now grounded till ejection charges are inspected.
Oh, now is it accidental ejection? Like I was saying, were they hacked? When did I say that? Was that this morning or last night?
You said that during the live stream yesterday, and I was like, yeah, that's an interesting theory. We're talking about it in the chat here a little bit about how, so many of our electronics and chips and everything are made overseas. I mean, there have been situations where they found that China put back doors into a lot of these chips. So it's quite a logical assumption or theory.
Trump and Putin. I mean, so it's interesting. The government has no logical explanation, so we have to resort to coming to our own conclusions, ideas, etc. So let's go back to Orlando's comment there. I'm not poo-pooing you, brother, but it's just interesting, right? We have to come up with something and go, well, he refused orders to be part of a false flag in North Carolina. I want more information. What is it they're doing in North Carolina? Was this pilot told that he was going to go down and use his missiles to take out a church? What was he going to do? What's this false flag? If I were the pilot and I went up in the air and I was told to, say, shoot down a bunch of abortion protesters, I would have said, fuck you, and I'm going to fly my jet back to base. I'll get out of the jet and I will talk to the commanding officer and, I'll resign my commission.
Yeah, that seems to be a pretty drastic thing to do, to refuse an order.
Well, refusing an order happens pretty frequent, I would say. But to say, you know what, fuck you, I'm going to punch out. That's. You can resign your commission and go to work for, is TWA even around? TWA or United or American or whatever. I don't think TWA is around anymore.
I don't think they're around anymore, no.
Their hub was in Atlanta. That's a big motherfucking airport. Someone bought them. Anyways, the point is that you can go to work for anyone. You punch out and you get kind of a big, big black mark on your record. You ain't working for nobody. You're not going to fly fucking crop dusters. Well, maybe crop dusters. I saw that movie Independence Day where that screwball, did the crop duster, but he saved the planet at the end. So he basically redeemed crop duster people who claim to have been probed by aliens. They're a very small minority, but, they got a powerful lobby.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Orlando sent me something in the background, and he said that he saw it on one of these channels that monitors all the air traffic and stuff. And I know of a couple of those guys, and I've listened to a few of them in the past, and they look at everything and come up with these crazy ideas about why this plane is doing that, and what that implicates. And you go back to after the elections, they're all theorizing that Trump's plane didn't really leave Washington and he's going to be back. So yeah. I put no credit in any of these guys. They're not air traffic controllers. They don't know what the hell is going on.
Yeah, I mean, I get this stuff, planes flying around a certain area. What are they doing? What are they monitoring? Are they helping drug dealers bring their drugs into the country? It's like, you know what? Based on the current administration and the intellectual level and moral development of the government, it wouldn't fucking surprise me, but they just don't seem to stand up to scrutiny. So refusing orders to be part of a false flag, only if he pulled a DB Cooper, punched out and took $200 million with him. How much did
and disappeared, never to be found again? Yeah.
How much did DB Cooper take? Was it 200,000?
I don't remember the exact amount, but by today's standards, I'm sure it would have been a pretty big number.
Sure,
or by those days' standards. Yeah.
Yeah. But this pilot, so this part about the keeping they're keeping them grounded for now. I believe the F-35 barely got off the ground. They got all kinds of government contracts, but there's just a shit pile of problems with it. What was that the plane that when it would fly through a cloud, it would have problems?
There were all kinds of issues with that thing, and I think it came in at sometimes like something like 2 or 3 times the expected cost.
Well, then there's that.
Yeah, but
wow.
But that one article I sent you when that first came out, they found a way to make the whole article about Trump and how stupid he was for calling it an invisible airplane. And they didn't really say anything about the actual crash.
Yes, it's another stealth fighter.
Yeah.
But you always have a way to track your own stuff, especially domestically in not a time of war. The last thing you want is an F-35 flying through the middle of a 747 fuselage. You just need to be aware.
You think that there'd be some kind of emergency beacon that will go up if there was a crash.
Yeah.
Or at least a pilot ejection. I mean, I can understand that maybe if you're in a war and something were to happen and your plane goes down, you may not want to have a beacon on so the enemy can recover it before you can. But
well, why not just have a self-destruct bomb in there,
Yeah, well, they were supposed to just be flying practice runs or something like that, doing some, regular flying, or I have no idea why this would have just ejected like that. But the hack is an interesting theory.
I like the hack idea because if I was a Chinese chip manufacturer and I wanted to go hang out with Xi Jinping, the head of the Chinese Communist Party and head of the People's Liberation Army, I would say, look, dude, we go to war with them. You hit this little button over here, and everyone who's in a plane gets ejected.
That would be one hell of a way to take out your enemy aircraft without firing a shot.
Without firing a fucking shot. I think it was Heidi who sent me something or had a question, that they're on autopilot. I thought, where do we get our facts from? And we really do. We're left with coming up with our own ideas and theories, which make, as I will say in response to Orlando, is our theories, no matter how ridiculous, seem to have more weight and fact and rather logic, even as shallow as some of our conspiracy theories are. They seem to have more weight than what the government tells us.
Yeah, I mean, we're not saying that planes are submarines.
We're taking a fucking train to Hawaii.
Yeah, right.
Oh golly, I tell you, it's rough business. It is Taco Tuesday, and I have a fresh air intake here on the Prepared Mind bunker, and I think what's going on is some illegal aliens are making tacos somewhere in my neighborhood, and the smell is getting drawn into my system here.
Lucky you. All right, brother. Well, I'll let you close the show out then, and I'll see if I can maybe keep a couple of these for tomorrow, or if Chin wants to bring his Ukraine repatriating their citizens that fled from other European countries up again tomorrow, we can throw that up then.
Oh, repatriating them or capturing them and forcing them into military service.
Well, here, you want to go into like 2 minutes of overtime? We'll just
there
put
you
it
go.
Up real quick.
Chin Music steps in, and folks, before I get into Chin Music here, I want everyone to know I appreciate you guys being here, sharing the internet address, helping one another, getting prepared, calling your fucking congressman, harassing local politicians, doing everything you can to make America a better place. Every little thing you do, think of the butterfly effect. Does everyone know what that is, Uman?
Where every small thing causes big changes.
Yeah, exactly. And if you were to travel back in time, say 1,000 years, and you were to walk down the path and you were to interrupt a butterfly feeding on a flower, it would fly and do something else. It would cause a chain reaction of effects that when you get back to the future, 1,000 years later, society, culture, facts, history, and everything could be changed. Butterfly effect.
Yep.
Anyways, what was the point of that? Oh, yeah, you guys, even the smallest actions you take will have an effect. So do it, damn it. Okay, and I've really felt that has helped persuade me to continue to do this. I'm a very big Swedish butterfly, and I want to fuck everything up for these bad guys. All right, Chin Music says, Ukraine is demanding European countries repatriate the men that have fled. Germany has lost 123,000. Why? Because Ukraine is out of men to fight. Yeah, that is why Ukraine wants their men back, because they do want to throw them in the meat grinder, shove them up on the front line so that, well, the Russians can make target practice out of their bodies. I do consider it genocide, man. I don't make light of that. When I look at how many people were killed by Slobodan Milosevic or any other leader, I'm sure Idi Amin didn't kill 500,000 people. Well, maybe he did. I can't remember. But why do you have to be in the top 5 to be considered a real asshole? I think Voldemort Zelensky is a giant asshole who has killed his own people.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about what, something like over 1% of the population at this point?
No, thereabouts. But it is a segment of the population, and wars typically choose young men because they're physically able-bodied. They're young enough to be have feelings of, or they're mature enough to have feelings of patriotism, and they're stupid enough because of inexperience to think that they're going to get into it and survive, and that the country will really value what they did. And basically, we haven't put a whole lot of expense into them. They're not experienced in business. They're not experienced in life. They're still just young men. So they're more expendable, which I think is an absolutely awful fact of life, that is what happens to young men. In the time of war, they're put into a fucking meat grinder and killed because they have the most opportunity to win and the least investment, so they're able to be lost.
And they're also ones you need the most when you come out of that war to rebuild the population and the industry and everything else.
I'm sure the 30-year-old men who didn't go fight will help those young ladies make more babies.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I think they're digging pretty well into those 30-year-olds at this point, too.
Even the 30-year-olds are like, dude, I got a job later, man. But yeah, that's when it gets to be like this, when you start digging into your 30-year-olds, your 40-year-olds, now you're trying to get elderly men, cripples, and then even telling women, hey, time to fight. At some point, I think the mass scale mutiny will be coming.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we've gone a little long, but what the fuck?
All right. Well, I will turn myself off here and I'll let you wrap it up.
All right, man.
Chance night,
favors. But by now, chance favors the prepared mind. Are you prepared for what's next. God bless America. We need all the help we can get, and Semper Fi.